Grand Line isn't too far off, but I think there's a mistake on the map. But it doesn't make any sense. These elevations show a mountain. I mean, how can a river go up a mountain?
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Netflix just released the live-action One Piece series. They adapted the entire Eastern Blue saga from the beginning of the manga, or if you only watch the animated series, it was about the first 61 episodes of the anime, which itself includes some stuff that wasn't in the original manga. The way they ended things made it seem like they're pretty confident that they're going to get a season 2, so we'll break it all down, and whether or not they were able to break the curse of the live-action anime adaptation, which Netflix has had issues with in the past. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I will do videos for One Piece Season 2 and like the next big live action, not necessarily anime, but anime adjacent Avatar: The Last Airbender series will be airing on Netflix next year. I've already done a trailer video for that, so I'll link it at the end of this, and I'll do more Avatar: The Last Airbender Netflix videos once they do start releasing more footage. That'd be like the next big conversation we have, like if One Piece was able to succeed, will that also be able to succeed in the same way? Careful for spoilers if you haven't seen the One Piece Netflix episodes or read the original manga. And essentially, the live-action episodes followed the character arcs of the manga and the animated series pretty closely. There were a bunch of changes, but because they did a speedrun over 61 episodes, that was no surprise. There was a bunch of stuff they had to skip over, a bunch of characters they had to remove, and stuff that they rearranged. Really good example of that is that in the original manga, the Eastern Blue Saga basically ends with the Logtown arc. They also added all the Garp stuff at the end of Season 1 with him confronting Luffy and the Straw Hats instead of the other Marines from the anime. In the original anime and the manga, he didn't really become a huge character till much later in the story, so you don't really find out that he's Luffy's grandfather till much later. The reason why they probably changed this, also the reason why they probably made Kobe and Helmeppo much bigger characters throughout the Netflix episodes, is because they wanted to focus on a smaller number of characters overall through the entire run of the live-action series. However many seasons they wind up making it to, assuming they plan on doing a full saga per season and adapt the entire run of the manga. We'll see about that though. We're talking like a 20+ year run of manga. There are a billion One Piece characters, there's no way they can do all of them justice, so you kind of expect them to winnow things down and just focus on a core group of characters throughout the entire series. The way they're cutting characters out during Season 1, just expect them to continue to do that in future seasons with future arcs. The ending of the live-action series ends with the Arlong Park arc, which is sort of combined and they cut out a little bit from the Logtown arc. I'm assuming because they pushed some of that to Season 2 with the Smoking Man, and they also combined a little bit with this last Buggy part during Logtown, making him the subordinate of Arlong, probably in service of setting Buggy up as a bigger character in the future, even though he also does become a much bigger character in future arcs. They were kind of accurate to the way that Buggy's character is portrayed, at least early on in the story. Like, the whole idea is that everybody in the world of One Piece thinks that Buggy isn't really taking advantage of his chop fruit abilities to their full extent, and if he did figure out how his powers actually work, he could become way more powerful. So I don't think it's a spoiler to say that eventually he does do that and does become way more powerful. They had that ending tag scene where he meets Alvida and they seem like they're going to team up against Luffy. I think that's part of the idea too, is that all the villains that Luffy defeats that are from the manga, from the original anime, will slowly team up in the live-action Netflix series against them. Some of you may have recognized the actor who played Buggy. It was Jeff Ward. Most people know him from Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I thought that he did a pretty decent job. Even though they changed a lot of his story, they did have a lot of moments that they tried to include from the manga or copying panels exactly from manga scenes. There were a lot of changes to the original story all around, but when they were trying to be accurate, they were pretty accurate. Some moments were just meant to carry the vibe of the original versions of the scenes with just totally different things going on in them, like the way they did all the character flashbacks for their backstories. The way they swapped around all the extra bits introducing the characters, like you see how Zoro wound up in chains way before they revealed that in the original anime. During episode 8, they speedrun the Arlong Park arc, explain how he took over Nami's village, and she spent the rest of her life up to this point trying to earn enough money to buy it back from him. The whole story with Nami pretending to be their friend and join the Straw Hat Pirates so she could steal the map for Arlong is pretty accurate to the original story, as is her ending after Luffy defeats Arlong, and the way he treats her throughout that whole story. Regardless of how people feel about the Netflix live-action series in general, like love it or hate it, most people will probably agree that Inaki did a great job of portraying Luffy. He's got this heart of gold, he always stays true to his beliefs, he always tries to see the best in people. During the live-action ending, when they learn what Nami has done stealing from them and leaving with Arlong, he immediately believes something terrible has happened to her to make her do that. She's still a good person. That's right out of the original story. He still believes in her after she steals from them. So when they show up to help her with Arlong, that's accurate, and her realizing that they are her friends after all and joining the Straw Hat Pirates crew for real the second time. They cut down their fight against the Arlong pirates and cut out a few characters, but they did pretty much the same thing with pretty much all the major encounters during the episodes. There are a lot of minor villains, a lot of secondary characters that just got cut completely. Luffy getting his first wanted poster after he defeats Arlong was accurate, but because it happened earlier in the manga, he got the wanted poster earlier in the manga. The actual poster is accurate too, and Usopp is also in that original poster. Generally, they try to be pretty accurate with the way they did the actual wanted posters themselves. Probably one of the major changes was Garp, Kobe, and Helmeppo, the Marines showing up to test Luffy right at the end. Kobe and Helmeppo did continue to have adventures with the Marines in the original storyline, but they were much bigger like right at the beginning, and then you don't really see too much of them till much later on. They weren't nearly as big of characters as the live-action episodes made them out to be. During episode 8, when Garp agrees to train them to get stronger, that's them basically adapting the Diary of Kobe and Meppo serials from the manga. They're part of the short-term focus cover page serials, which were meant to be supplemental stories throughout the cover pages of select chapters of the manga. The live-action show seems like it's just upgrading those into more of the ongoing episodes. The Luffy vs. Garp ending is a change in that it didn't happen in the original Arlong Park arc, but the vibe of their relationship and Garp's intentions towards Luffy are true to the manga. They just waited till way later in the original story to clarify that. Basically, Garp respects Luffy for wanting to be his own man, pursuing his dream of being the Pirate King, finding the One Piece, sailing the Grand Line. It's true that originally when Luffy was much younger, he did want him to become a Marine, but eventually once Luffy made it clear that wasn't going to happen, Garp left him at the Windmill Village eventually, even though we don't really see that during the live-action series. You just see it pick up with a younger Luffy and Shanks. When he super punches Luffy, that's right out of the manga. He used to do that to Luffy when he was younger and get super pissed at him for breaking the rules. Right now, I'm expecting them to continue using Garp in a more prominent role than they did in the manga, the same way in future seasons. Like in the manga, he kind of floats in and out of the story, so to speak, to make as many pirate puns as possible. They didn't really get into what happened to Luffy's actual father, but they'll probably clarify that in future seasons. They get into that later in the manga, too. Speaking of Shanks, though, there is a moment at the end of the series where Mihawk shows up to let him know what happened to Luffy, how he achieves his dream of becoming a pirate, his wanted poster. That part was accurate, and his introduction initially in the story, but his relationship with Garp was a little bit different. He continues to be Zoro's rival, though, in the original story. They'll continue to do that in future seasons. Basically, the two major levels of power that you can achieve before becoming the Pirate King are the Seven Warlords or the Four Emperors. The difference between those two organizations are just the amount of territory they control and what their relationship with the world government and the Marines are. The Seven Warlords have more of an agreement with the world government. They'll work with them sometimes, like you see Mihawk kind of doing with Garp temporarily, but the difference with the Four Emperors is that they're powerful enough to basically give the world government the middle finger and do whatever they want, which is why you see Mihawk kind of do that with Garp. Like, you know what, I'm not going to do this, and just bails on him. The way they had Shanks lounging around and Mihawk calling him out for being so lazy, though, I think is to set up Shanks' rise as one of the Four Emperors. I think they're trying to say that during this scene, Shanks hasn't become one yet and is kind of wasting his potential. In the manga, he's meant to be one of the greatest pirates in the world. They'll probably just show his rise in future seasons and eventually what happens when he and Luffy eventually do meet each other again after they've both gotten way more powerful. His relationship with Luffy, though, is pretty accurate. Like, he is kind of a father figure to him, more than Luffy's real father. The ending scene with the barrel is right out of the manga, where they all declare their dreams and intentions they want to achieve. Luffy becoming the king of the pirates, finding Gold Roger's One Piece treasure, Zoro becoming the world's best swordsman, Nami mapping the entire world, Sanji finding the All Blue, Usopp being a brave warrior. The funny thing too is when they're plotting out their next course and they see Reverse Mountain and Nami isn't quite sure what it actually means. Like, wait a minute, this mountain seems like it goes up. Like, do we actually go up a mountain to get to the Grand Line and go on our next part of our journey? That is right out of the manga and right out of the anime. The river they take really does go up the mountain, like you go up a mountain to get to the other side. They'll probably cover that at the very beginning of season 2. The whole post-credit scene stinger of the smoking man looking at Luffy's wanted poster implying he's going after him is Smoker from the manga, or Captain Smoker, however you want to think of him. He's another Marine captain that they introduced much earlier in the original story. It looks like they just saved him for season 2. Originally, he debuted during the Logetown arc and was a big villain during that, but they completely cut him out during season 1. Like a lot of the characters, he becomes a much bigger antagonist over the seasons, but a lot of times he does work with Luffy, and then they go back to being villains to each other after they've defeated some bigger threat together. I'll do a much larger One Piece Netflix Season 2 video later this weekend and talk about the Arabasta saga, which is like the next big saga in the manga, and talk more about what they're actually going to do during Season 2. Because they will be doing the same basic thing they did during Season 1, like kind of a speed run version of the Arabasta saga. Netflix seems pretty confident that they will renew the series. We'll see about that. Usually they wait a while to announce that, but because we're in the middle of the strikes right now, they might wait till after the strikes before they start working on that and make a formal announcement. Overall, I felt like they had some good moments. I would say they did a good job of capturing the spirit and the weirdness of the original story. A lot of people that are brand new to One Piece probably won't realize that too. Like, no, it is a super weird series. It is amazing they even tried to adapt it. It's going to be one of those series where you either love it or you hate it. Like, when it was good, it was solid, but when it was bad, it was kind of bad. Overall, though, I would call it a big success for them. Like, it could have gone way, way worse. And it does make me hopeful for their live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender Netflix series. Overall, I would call this a good benchmark for that. I would expect the same thing from Avatar: The Last Airbender when that premieres next year. I'll do another video for that when they release the next big Avatar: The Last Airbender trailer. It won't air till next year, like I said, but I will be doing videos for it. Let me know in the comments, what did you think of the Netflix One Piece series, and what do you want them to do during Season 2 if they're going to make some more changes? Everyone click here for that first big Avatar: The Last Airbender Netflix trailer, and click here for my Ahsoka Episode 4 video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.